Okay, so we pushed our code onto the GitHub yesterday, correct? And today what I have done is I have pushed my code on my personal ID, which is this one, right? Because I was logged into my terminal using this ID, but it is basically the same. You can see that all the files are same, and also this is same. And you will, and yesterday I have told you that there will be no environment of files. So whatever environment you have created, see, our virtual environment was project, correct? But you will see that we don't have any virtual environment in the GitHub, correct? So what happened is that GitHub is smart enough to understand that this is virtual environment file, and he should not get this file. And there is also a by default git ignore file, which ignores all the files of virtual environment when you create a virtual environment, correct? So like thanks to that git ignore file, virtual environment is not here, and it shouldn't be here, right? Because the thing is, in the virtual environment, mostly what is happening is that all the sensitive data is stored there, correct? So you should not be sharing your virtual environment with on a public GitHub repository, correct? So today what we will be doing is that today first we will be deploying it. Now there was a problem of Heroku yesterday, right? It was asking for the credit card, and I thought that we will use some other functionality, but it is all same everywhere. They are asking for credit card, and if they are asking for credit card information or debit card information, why not use AWS? So today what we will be doing is that to open AWS. Correct. So I have logged into my AWS account, but what you need to do is you need to go to AWS management console, correct? So you guys will be doing this step. So go to AWS management console, and now you need to register the AWS account. Click on create an AWS account or login. Okay, so here what you need to do is you need to click on create a new AWS account. Now, what it will do is that it will say sign up for an email account. So here you can just give your Gmail account. So let us say my Gmail account is this, right? And then my AWS account can be like, it should be unique. So I will say, like, basically I will say that I wanted to do this. Okay. And then I have to click on verify my email address. It will share an OTP on my email address, and then it will ask for my credit card or debit card information. But don't worry, because it doesn't matter. Even if you have Paytm debit card, that is all, that will also work, because this website, this account that I have created is created using that. So if you have let us say Paytm debit card, that will also work. But you have to do it, because the thing is, see, when you are actually working in a company, then AWS is something that you should know. Just like Git and GitHub, AWS is something that a lot of employers are asking for it, because many companies are actually working on AWS, correct? So AWS gives you a lot of functionality. These are like some of the sites that I have visited in AWS. There are also like a lot of services that I use in my company on the daily basis. Like there is a database service, there is a service for hosting the website, or let us say there is service for storing your files. So they are really important to understand, and they are also important that you know how to work with them, correct? So what we will be doing is that we will be using Amazon EC2, that is Elastic Compute Engine. Okay, what it does, it whenever you create a new EC2, you have to create an operating system in the Amazon server. Remember yesterday what I have told is that there are a lot of servers, and they are using virtualization, or let us say concept similar to virtualization, to create cloud engines. So what is happening is that every time you create a EC2 account in the Amazon AWS servers, which are there currently, one of the, I am in a region of Tokyo, correct? Asia Pacific Tokyo. So whenever I create an EC2 engine and an operating system, install the operating system on that EC2 engine, what will happen is that it will create an operating system for me on the AWS server that I can use however I want. I will have absolute control over that operating system. It is just like creating your own operating system in cloud. instead of on your regular laptop. Many of you must have installed Windows 11, or let us say Linux, or let us say Windows 10 on your laptop, right? So it is basically same as that, and it is even easier. In AWS, you can just simply click once, and then it will do everything for you. So today we'll be deploying our web application on the AWS, and I want you to listen to this, and I want you to understand this, because AWS is something, let us say you are really bad at coding, or let us say you don't understand, then even if you know AWS, you can actually apply as an AWS developer, or you can continue your career as a DevOps developer, AWS DevOps developer. And it is also a good method. So it is also a good idea to learn how to create an EC2 instance, how to create an RDS. Okay, because when you join a company as a full stack web developer, they are expecting you to know these things. Okay, like these are really basic things that you should know. And virtually like 90% employers are asking for AWS, and even if like there are any competitor for AWS, then there is like Microsoft Azure. Like maybe there's like their entire backend is based on .NET, or let us say Microsoft or MySQL. Microsoft also has a SQL, right? Maybe they are using that. Then they might be using Azure. But even on AWS, you can work with Microsoft SQL. Okay, so it is really good idea. And once you have learned AWS, you will see that it is actually really easy to switch to Azure, or let us say Google Cloud, because the concept are going to be same. It is just that the way they do something changes, and that is really easy. If you just read a documentation, you will be able to understand how this is working. So today we will be deploying our web application. So first of all, what you need to do is you need to you need to search AWS Management Console. Okay. And once you see this aws.amazon.com, just click on it. Now it will ask me to log back in. So I will just simply click on log back in, or I can click on sign in. So I will click on log back in. And because I've already entered my username and password, it has not asked me for the username password. Correct. So you guys can register for it. It will just ask for a credit card information. It will, I think, cost ₹2, and then it will be refunded back to you after a certain amount of time. So for now, just create an account, because whenever you are, let us say in your college, you are creating a website for a final project, then you might need to deploy that website, correct? So you will be needing AWS there, and it will be really good idea. You will get good score, as well as when you are going for an interview, and if they see that you have actually deployed a website on a company like AWS, or let us say Azure, then it shows that you are willing to learn something, or let us say you are not just doing it for the I can say that for as a hobby. You are trying to become a web developer. So today we'll be starting with that, and after you have logged back in, all of you, regardless of how you log in, you will get this screen. Okay, so go to search and search for EC2. Okay, so click on EC2. We'll look at some theory at the end, but for now, I want to complete the deployment and complete the PHP part, so that what happens is that when we are let us say, even if the time is up, we will have only really small thing to cover. Yeah, and we can complete our actual project at least. So go to instances. So after clicking on EC2, there is a sidebar. In the sidebar, you need to click on instances. Now I have one instance ready, which is for the testing purposes. What you need to do is you need to click on launch instance. Now this is common for all of you. It doesn't matter which AWS account you are using, which region you are using. If you want to change the region, I am in Tokyo, but I can change the region. Right? I can go for Mumbai, but I'm choosing Tokyo because so that I know what services I am running in a specific region. If I want to check service for other region, I have to log into that region. Okay, so that I can also check what is the cost. You get 750 hours free inside AC2. 750 hours is basically 1 month, and every month it changes. So once you start an EC2 engine, and it is not that changing, then you can basically keep using it without any problem, without any wasting I will say money, because basically it is just for a project. Then you probably don't want to spend any real amount of money. But what you can do is you can basically use the free tier, and we'll be learning how to use the free tier so that all of you can work with it. Okay. So after clicking on launch an instance, I will get this page where I will have launch instance button. Here I will give it a name. I'm going to create a Linux instance on Ubuntu. So I will name it Ubuntu. And then I can say -OS. To know that I'm creating an Ubuntu operating system. And now here it will ask you like application and the OS image. OS image is basically operating system image, right? And Amazon machine image is basically when you click on the Amazon image machine, you don't have to go through the installation process, they install it for you. Then I have various system, various option. I have Amazon Linux. Okay, it is a Linux provided by Amazon. Many people use it, but will be not be using it. It is again a free tier, right? There is Mac OS also, so you can create a Mac OS operating system in Amazon, and you can use the Mac OS through your browser window. Okay, so that is also possible, but this is not free. Okay, see, there is no free tier option. Then we have Ubuntu. So this is free tier eligible, and there is Windows, right? And the Windows is basically Server 2022, and that is also free tier available, right? So this is free tier available when Server 2022 is basically Windows 10, but it will not have all the bloatware that you get. Okay, in the Windows there are a lot of pre-installed application, but on the server you will only get the management software. You will not get things like camera and other things. You will only get things like let us say Notepad, or that you will be needing on a server, or let us say a management console. So we'll be working with the Ubuntu. I will be also teaching some basic Linux so that you guys can work with this kind of things also. So I will be choosing the Ubuntu. I'm going with the free tier. Free tier is basically yeah. So on-demand window pricing is for the Windows they are giving the pricing. So on-demand Linux pricing is basically 0.0152 USD per hour, right? And that is after like your free tier is done. After 750 hours are done, then for every year you have to pay $0.0152 dollars. So let me check how much is that in money. So uh, how much to rupees? That will be 1.25 rupees. Okay. So we'll be using the free tier, and that you get 750 hours of free tier. That is basically 1 month. Okay, and next month it will be, you will get again 750 hours. But what happens is that sometimes when a lot of people are visiting your website, this kind of things might cost you like money when there are lot of visitors. But we will be not be having a lot of visitor like you guys will be there, or let us say some other 2-3 people will be there. That's it. Or let us say your like sir will be there, sir who is checking your website that you are deployed. Okay. Then I will say create a new key pair, that is basically a password pair. When you use this pair, then only you will be able to log into your system. Now I have to give a name. So I will be giving a name of Ubuntu OS, right? And then I will have to go for RSA and PEM, and then I will click on create new player. Now it will prompt me for the download. Now I have to save it somewhere. So I will save it in my download folder. Okay, save. So it has downloaded. So next thing is there are some networking settings. This is the really important. All of you, if you are not paying attention, then please pay attention. This is really important. For your website to be available on public, what you have to do is you have to basically click on allow SSH network everywhere. Click on HTTP traffic and click on HTTP traffic, because we will be not be having the SSL certificate, right? So see this lock icon we have. It says that everything is secure. That means it is using an SSL certificate. SSL certificate gives you ability to make an HTTPS request. We will be learning what are like HTTP, HTTPS, and SSL later. But for now, understand that you need to click on HTTP request for now. And then you will see that we will get 1 into 8 GB. And like this is basically the storage configuration that you will be getting with the free tier. right? So we have canonical Ubuntu, the version is 22.04. So when you are creating it, make sure you are using 22.04. That might be version 23.04 available. Don't use 23.04. Use the long-term support 22.04 because I am using that, and I will be showing you this project in that version only. In next version, the version of Python might be different, right? Because it is a new version, it will have I can say new version of Python pre-installed. Click on launch instance. After clicking on launch instance, it will take some time. So we'll have to wait for it to to be done. It will take some time. It is already done. What I have to do is I have to click on the instance tab, and then I will just wait for some time. It is saying pending, right? So I will just wait for 2 or 3 minutes, and then we'll refresh the page and see if it is working. Okay, so just give me 1 or 2 minutes. We'll have to wait for it. It takes around 4 minutes, I think, on average. Okay, so let me check. It doesn't even a lot of time take 4 minutes, but whenever there is some network issue, it might take some time. Let me check if it is good. Then there is another setting that we need to do, that we have to do. Yeah, so it is saying that it is running, but the status says it is initializing. So we have to wait until it is 2 out of 2 check passed. So I'll wait for some time, and then we'll refresh again. Okay, let's refresh and see. Still initializing, so we'll wait for some time. So basically, AWS is like a cloud platform. So what happens is that in Amazon, in AWS specifically in Amazon, AWS belongs to Amazon. So in AWS, they have a lot of servers, right? We saw yesterday that previously what happened was there is, let us say, only one server. Okay, so there is one server for one application. Okay, previously that is what used to happen. Then what happens was, let us say we have multiple applications, then we had to create multiple servers. Okay, and then what happens is that there is a new technology of virtualization which allowed multiple applications to be installed on same server. Okay, and we are leveraging that technology in cloud so that we can get some space on a server that is situated in a cloud. Now, cloud is basically something that is that you can access through your computer through the internet, and it is situated somewhere else. So that means the server where we are making our OS, it actually belongs to somewhere. There is a data center out there which has this server. Okay, but you don't need to worry about the physical server. You only need to worry about this. Okay, sometimes what happens is that some company don't have a server. Okay, they don't have AWS account, they have actual server inside the data center. So what happens is that whenever there is some problem, you have to go to data center and fix the issue with server. You want to install new server, you want to, let us say, scale the server, you have to physically be available in the data center. So I will refresh using F5. I can also click on refresh button. Let's see if the initialization is done. Yeah, so it is 2 out of 2 check passed, and the name is Ubuntu server. So I will just click on it. Now I have more options. So you can see I have detail, security, networking, storage, status check, monitoring tag, right? I don't need to worry about any of this. I just want to go to security. In the security, I have security group. I will click on the security group. Remember, click on the security group name. I will not be copying it. In the inbound rule, what I want is I want to add 2 new inbound rules. So edit inbound rule. And here I have given access to HTTPS, SSH, and HTTP. SSH, we will be using it. Okay, just wait, we will be using it, and it is based on everywhere. Okay, so I can also say like anywhere IP, and then anywhere IP, and then I can also say that anywhere IP. Okay, I will add one more custom IP, and I will give the port of Django 8000. Okay, 8000 anywhere IP. So it will be 0.00. Then we have MySQL, right? But I will be deploying it on SQLite, but I will show you if you want to deploy this application using MySQL, then this is important that you click on add rule and search for MySQL, click on MySQL and then select for like everywhere. Okay. And then you just need to click on save rule. We are going for everywhere, but what you want to do on like, you want to go for custom and give your IP, because we are going to use the IP that is provided by AWS instead of like, having our static IP. So what happens is that every time, let us say you have a Wi-Fi at your home, correct? All of you may have the Wi-Fi at your home. So what happens is that your Wi-Fi provider provide you with the dynamic IP. Okay, so it changes after some time, or you can ask your like network provider to change your IP address. But what happens is that if the IP is changing every time, whenever user wants to visit my website, he has to get that new IP. Or let us say he has the domain name such as google.com, and google.com IP address is changing every time, then there has to be one person who is updating that like, domain name and IP link in the backend every time. Okay, so what we'll be doing is we'll be using the dynamic, because we are not going to work with the domain name, but for now we are going to with the dynamic, and IP will not change. Remember, your IP that is you got that you get with your OS, it will not change unless and until you are closing the like, your overall server. When you restart or close the server, that is only when the IP changes. So that means when you once you deploy the website and don't close the server, then you can just paste that IP link to the, like, give that IP link to the sir. He can go to website, check it, and then it will like work for him. Okay. And then once he has like confirmed with you that it is working, then you can stop the EC2 instance so that it doesn't like, have any cost. So you don't have to pay any money. So we'll be going with everywhere for now, for just for the demonstration purposes. But I will be deleting this later on by like day after tomorrow, because like, it is not really safe to do this in this kind of way. But you can also do it. Why? Because we are not going to use the dynamic IP that we get with the AWS instead of having a static IP. To get static IP, you have to like, get static IP. In AWS, there is feature of getting static IP. I think it is called Elastic IP, or it is Elastic Beanstalk. You can get IP from there. And you can also get MySQL, but we'll be working with SQLite so that we don't have to install any MySQL, because when you create RDS instance, there are a lot of chances it is going to cost you money. Okay, so we'll be working with the free tier for now. So I will just click on save rules. Now the rules are saved. Okay, so I have this route. Next thing that I want to do is I want to go to this instances side by instance. Then here it is already selected. Okay, and next thing I will do is, so yeah, so in detail there is option of connect, correct? So I will click on connect. Then it is giving me some or like, telling me how to do it, but I will not be connecting it here. What you want to do is, so you would like to yeah, so what you want to do is you want to install something called as putty. Okay, we will go and say download putty for Windows. So it is kind of like an SSH service which lets you connect to a remote operating system that you have, a remote server to be specific. So this instance that we have created, see, this instance that we have created, this is an operating system. Okay, this operating, when you create a Windows operating system, you can actually like, get a Windows. Remember, I had this option of sandbox. Whenever I clicked on sandbox, I was able to access a new Windows on my Windows, right? There was a window opening, and then I was able to work with a Windows 11, brand new Windows 11. So you will get something like that when you create a Windows OS. Okay, but I have created Ubuntu OS, and this will not have any graphical user interface, but we'll see how to work with it. So for now, I will say Ubuntu OS, and then you can click on connect. So there is, when you click on connect, you can, what you can do is you can go to session manager. Sorry. Yeah, you can go to here, that is EC2 instance connect, and when you click on connect button, it will connect you with your operating system inside the web browser. But I don't want to connect with the browser on my web browser. So what I will be doing is I will be using a software called as Putty. I will click on download Putty, and then I will go for 64-bit x86. Will download it for me. I will save it in the downloads folder. Okay. Download, and now I will go for install the Putty. Remember this PEM file, don't share it with anyone, just keep it on your system. We will be converting it now. Just click on next, install. Click on yes. Okay, so click finish me. Now I have this PEM file, right? See, next thing you want to do is, so I have this two application installed. It is PuttyGen and Putty FTP, and there is should also be a Putty. Okay, so FTP is basically for file transfer. Will not be working with this one. We will be working with PuttyGen and Putty. So Putty is basically when you click on it, you have to view this SSH file, and then you can connect to your instance. What I will be doing is I will click on PuttyGen. Remember the steps. Then go on file, click load private key, and now go to your downloads folder. Okay, and here you have this option, right? Drop down menu. Click on all files. You have Ubuntu os.pem file. Click on open. It will say successfully imported foreign key, which was SSH2. What you want to do is you want to click on save private key. I will say yes, and then I will give it a name of, let us say, Ubuntu OS, and then I will say save. Okay, then I will close it, and now if I refresh, I have this file Ubuntu os.ppk. So ppk file is needed when you want to connect with Putty. Okay, so next thing I will do is I will open this software Putty, and then it is asking for the host name. So host name is basically this name. Not this. In EC2 instance, you have this information, right? Yeah. So in EC2, you have this information, right? That is EC2131 and this. So you just want to click on this box icon to copy it. Okay, this has copied on your clipboard. Then what you want to do is you want to paste it in the host name. Control V, pasted it. And now what you want to do is you want to go to data, and in the auto login username, you want to give this username. So when you click on connect, there is this username, right? Ubuntu. So you want to give this username. I will say Ubuntu. Okay. After giving this username, you want to click on this plus icon in SSH. In the auth, you want to click on this plus icon and then click on credential. Now, in the private key file for authorization, click on browse. After clicking on browse, go to your download folder where you have downloaded. Now I will select Ubuntu OS PPK, and then I will click on OK. Then I will say open. I will say accept, and then it is saying that see, it says using username Ubuntu and then authenticating the public key, and I will just this. Yeah. So now this is how Ubuntu looks like when you install it. When you first install Ubuntu, many of you must have installed it. You will get a graphical user interface where you can have a system button to get all your application. But by default, any Linux operating system, when you install a base operating system, it only installs this, and it only gives you something called as a console, which is called TTYT. Okay, so like I think that it is called TTYT. But what you need to do is you need to use this. You can either install let us say, so what happens is in an operating system, so what is happening, let me just give me a second. I had a notes on that. I can show it to you. So every time, so you have an operating system, right? So what happens is that, let us say when you power on an operating system, what happens is that it power on, okay, and then what CPU does is that it goes to a specific address and then it initializes itself, the CPU itself, and then it will open the BIOS UEFI firmware. Okay, after the BIOS and your BIOS firmware has loaded, what it will do is it will call the bootloader. Okay, and then the bootloader will open your, like, whatever the, let us say, kernel is. Okay, in Linux there is something called as Linux kernel. In Windows there is also a kernel. It will load the kernel, and then what kernel will do, it will load the drivers, and it will also load something called as display manager. Okay, and then it will, like, load all your application. So display manager, I think there is something called as X11, and there is also one more display manager that I don't remember the name of. I studied it long time ago. So what happens is that you can install X11, and then you can install something called as a desktop environment. I think there is something called as what was the name? Except CE4. Okay, you can install any of them, then you will have a graphical method of doing this. But we don't need any kind of graphical method. So what we'll be doing is we will be working with the console, and then we'll be continuing. So first thing you can see, I have something called as Ubuntu @ my IP. Okay, that means I have logged into my system. It is same as your CMD. So I have the CMD, right? So I can just search for CMD. Then see, I got the CMD, it said C user and then my username. Okay. This how this is looking can be changed. Okay. And I can change it using here. If I edit something called as bash RC file. Okay. I can select the theme for this. Currently, I think it is using Xterm, which is default. Okay. So just know these things, because what happens is that when you come to a new desktop, like, a new operating system or a new environment, it becomes really hard for you to, like, understand these things. But just know the names. Other than that, you are good to go. You don't need to know all of these things. But remember, every time you connect to, in Putty, when you connect to a terminal, now I can access this operating system that I have created, which is this instance, Ubuntu OS. Now, whatever changes I will do inside here will be reflected on that instance. Okay. So what first thing I will do? First thing, I will update all the software and package softwares in my system. I am using Python 3.11.4, correct? But Django will also work with Python 3.10. In Linux, sometimes what happens is that you will not get the latest packages, because in the package manager in Python you have something called as pip install, right? So pip install Django, and you can install Django. So in Linux you have something called as package manager, which is called, in Ubuntu it is called as apt. Apt install name of packages will install a package. Package is basically an application or a software or a configuration file that you might have. That means if I want to install, let's say, Google Chrome, what I have to do is, Google Chrome is not available by default in Ubuntu, but you can, let's say, Firefox. Okay, Mozilla Firefox. All of you must have used Firefox. What you can do is apt install Firefox will install Firefox for you. Okay, so this is how you install software. Instead of going on a website and downloading a file, what you are doing is you are using command line. You are using a package manager apt. You are giving a command of install, and then the name of software, application, or package that you want to install. So we will be installing Python. But before installing that, we first have to update our system. So what we'll be doing is that I will say sudo. Sudo is basically telling my operating system that I want to execute the rest of the program, that command that I'm going to type, rest of the command, as an administrator. In Windows, you can go like CMD, right? So CMD, and then you can right click, and then you can say run as an administrator. But in Linux, you have something called a sudo apt install. Install will install a package. You need install to install, package. You need sudo privilege to install something. If you create a new user without the install privilege, then that user needs sudo to install it. I am currently on a user of Ubuntu, but if I say something called as like su, and then I don't have a password, I think, for this one. SUI. See, yeah. So now you can see that instead of instead of like, Ubuntu at the rate, I have root at the rate IP. That means I have now switched from regular user Ubuntu to the super user. That is a root. I will say exit. And how I got into root was sudo space -i. In Ubuntu, it is that. In other Linux operating system, it is, I think, su. There is also su -i. Okay, so now I am back to Ubuntu at that IP. Okay, so what I will do is sudo app update, and then remember in Python we have learned and, right? So I will say and sudo app upgrade. What does this mean? First, I want to run a command sudo apt update. Okay, and after this command is successful, then and only then run sudo apt upgrade. It will update. It will take some time. So let's wait for it. Okay. Now it is asking for if I want to update these packages. See these packages. I have Linux headers, Linux header, Linux image. Okay, that means some of the important files which are related to the Linux are going to be installed, and also Python is going to be upgraded. Okay, because I said update, so it is going to upgrade the Python, as well as it is going to upgrade my let's say firewall. Okay, so remember this terminology and see what is being updated. Okay, so that you don't like break something in your OS. So, but for now, I know that this is safe. So I will say why. I will just wait. It will take some time. See, this is really fast, even though it is only running on 1 GB RAM. This is running on 1 GB RAM because it is Linux. Linux will be is able to run on 1 GB RAM. Okay, but when you are using something called as graphical, like let us say Windows, it will run really slow. It will hang. But because we don't have any like graphical user, we are only using a console on our entire operating system. It is running really fast. And AWS servers are fast by default. Okay, so just see this. If you want to practice Linux, what you can do is you can in the Windows there is something called as Windows subsystem for Linux, which will give you same interface as this, and then you can practice those skills in WSL. You can look for how to install WSL and how to use it in your spare time. So it will take some time. This progress is already 98%. Let's run it. Let it run. Okay, so it has updated some boot images and also. Okay, so just keep these things in mind, like what is being updated, so that when you get an error, you know what to do. Now, this is something called as TUI. Okay, that means you need to use tab and space. When you say space, it selects or enter, and when you say tab, it goes to the next selection. You can use arrow button to go to up and down. Okay, remember how to access these things. So I have okay. I will press space to say this, and then I will say okay. Okay, so now what I got was restarting services. Now the services were restarted and they were updated, like they were updated and then they were restarted. And then like no container, this is information that you don't need to know. Like this VM is basically for virtual machine, but we are not using the virtual machine like VirtualBox. We are having an actual operating system on a server. Okay. So I just say CLER to clear the terminal so that I can type something. Now what I want is, so yeah, so first thing I will do is I will say sudo apt install sudo package manager install Python 3. In Linux, you have to say Python 3 instead of Python, right? So in Windows, if you say Python version, it will give you some information, but in Linux, keep in mind you have to say Python 3. Like in Ubuntu specifically, in some other, I think Fedora, it is Python. But in Ubuntu, it is Python 3. Remember it. So I will install pip. By default, pip is not installed. You will say. So it has asking me yes or no. So I will say why. It will install the pip. is saying new kernel available because we didn't do didn't restart the server. That is why it is asking again. But you don't have to restart the server because we only want the Python. We don't care about the base. Every time, let us say, if you want to update the kernel or base, you should probably ask the, I would say, system administrator in your company that if it is safe or if it is a good thing to do it. Unless you want to get a new kernel or let us say you want to get new version of operating system, you should always consult with your in company there is something called as a desktop administrator or let us say Linux server administrator. You should consult with him and then only you should update it. So I will for now I will just press enter and I will press tab and then I will say okay. Okay, so now I'm back and then what I will do is I will update the pip. Now I can say pip install. First let's check if Python is installed or not. So Python, if I say Python version, see, you will get error. But if I say Python 3 version, then it says 3.10.6. Even though we were on 3.11.4, in this version of Linux, 3.10.6 is available. So we have to work with this. Then I want is pip 3. Remember pip 3 instead of pip 3 version. Okay, now I know pip is installed, Python is installed. Now I want to check if Git is installed. Okay, so what I will do is sudo apt install Git. Or let us say I will just check if Git is installed instead of installing Git version. It is saying that Git version is 2.34.1. That means Git is installed. Okay. Now I will clone my website that I had. Remember, I'm currently in a directory. If I say ls, I don't have any file inside this current directory. So what I will be doing is, I will go to here, then in the code, right, in the code, I have this option, right? So I will click, copy the name of the folder that I have. I will say git clone, and then I will just say right click to paste it. In Putty, you can use right click to paste the clipboard option. Okay, now I will press enter. But before we press enter, there are some changes that I have made that I want to show you guys. There is actually not many changes that you need to do. You just need to say allowed host equal to. Previously, there was nothing in the allowed host, right? But now you need to say single inverted comma star single inverted comma. That means allow every host to access my Django website. And everything is same. I just commented out the MySQL and I'm using the SQLite. Okay, these are the only changes that I have done. You can use MySQL, but to use MySQL, you have to do something called a sudo apt install MySQL. Okay, when you install MySQL, you can use MySQL. Okay, but I will be using SQLite because I don't have to install the SQLite, right? So I have one less step to do, and we are going to use MySQL with the PHP anyway, right? So let's just use MySQLite for this project and use MySQL for the other project because I want you to work on two different projects on with the different database so that you have more experience with working different kind of databases. It is there, okay, with allowed host. What I need to do is I need to say Python. First, I will say ls. Now I am getting one folder name. I will say cd, and then because I only have one folder name, I can say let us say food, and then tab f. Tab will auto complete the folder name, and then I can say enter. Now I will say ls. Now I have database SQLite 3, food order home, my application, food order project, my main project application that was created by start project, and then food orders, my other application. Then manage.py, readme, static, and templates. What I need to do is I need to say Python 3 manage.py. Sorry, before Python 3, I need to install Django. I'm not installing virtual environment. Why? Because I'm going to use this server only for Django. So I don't need to create virtual environment, but it is a good idea. You guys can try it, but I will be using it without virtual environment. So I will just simply install Django. I said first I installed a pip, then I upgraded the pip. After upgrading the pip, I use git clone to clone my git repository, and then what I said, I cd into my git repository, and then now I'm installing Django. it is giving some warning. You don't need to care about this, but just see the pip install Django. I have installed the Django. Now I will say Python 3 manage.py, and then what I will say, make migration, make migrations, and then I will say migrate. Okay. After doing migrate, what I will say is Python 3. What I will do is manage.py run server. I will say 0.0.0. That means instead of localhost, I want to use IP that is assigned to this machine. I will say port 8000. Okay. Yeah. So after running it on port 8000, now my server is running, right? There was no issue. I will just minimize it, go to my website. And now I have something called as this, right? Public IP4 DNS. Okay, this public IP4 DNS, I will copy it. Then what I will do is I will go here. Then I will say HTTP. Okay, then colon / paste the IP4 DNS that I had, and then I will say colon port 8000. I will press enter. Now my website is working. Okay, my website is working on an EC2 instance which is available on cloud, and I have not running it on my system. I can let us say I have it here. I can just go to incognito and run it there also. Okay, let's test our application. I had one super user, yes, right? And because I used the SQLite, I migrated it. I don't need to create it again. Uh, so sorry, I have cough, so that is why. So I had a user, yes, right? So I can say login, and then I will say yes, and then password, login. It says welcome, yes. If I say order, I will say from AWS deploy. Click on order now. Okay, so there was nothing in order. So pasta here from AWS. Order now. I have ordered this, and now I will say admit. I have already logged in as yes, then delete food orders. Remember, these are all the orders that we had made yesterday. This is order from deploy because we don't have any order, it is empty. Then this is from yes, from AWS, and then pasta. Next, what we have is, let's try creating a user. So I will say logout, sign up. Here I will give a username. Let's give a username of QAZ, a random user. Give it the same email, and then first name, last name, password. And then I will say sign up. I think it already exists. Okay, let's see if it is working. So it was not created. Let me see. Okay, we have not done something called no, we have done it. Check users. Currently, I only have one user. I don't think I can create another super user for this one because I need to change some permission. So what happens is that because I'm using the SQLite that is already from my GitHub client, right? So what I need to do is I need to change the permissions. Okay. But let's try it again. And let's see if I can add user from here. Add user. Then maybe it was not taking it because I was using regular keywords. So save. Yeah, now it has added. Okay, so it has added, but let's see what the issue is. So here, log out for now. Click on sign up. Let's give a proper username this time. So Padhyay. I will also give a proper email this time. And then I will say yes. In the password, what I will do is just give it a proper password also. I will say sign in. Yeah, now it worked. I think there was some problem with the email that I was not entering the proper email because you saw that I was just typing a gibberish. So I will say login and my user was Supadhyay and password was say login. Now I have logged in as my new user. I will add to cart order and here I will say from AWS Shreyas Upadhyay. I will say order. Order was done. So admin. Now I have to authenticate as a staff user. Orders from Yash Upadhyay, from AWS Yash Upadhyay and the order. Right. So we have successfully deployed our website on a cloud. Now it will keep running unless I go here instances and say stop, reboot or terminate. So now what there is another problem. What if I close this terminal? Then my run server will automatically stop, right? Then my server will also stop. So for that, I need to install something else. So I will say Control C to stop the server. Say clear. And now I will say sudo apt install screen. Sudo apt install. I am installing software called as screen. SCRWN. Now I will say SCRWN and press enter. Then press enter again. Okay. Now what I want to do is I'm on a new screen now. And let us say you can say call it a background screen. Okay. So Python 3 manage.py. We will say run server and then I will say 0.0.0 at port 8000. Press enter. Now my server is running. Come here and see server is running. Okay. I can access my server. Log out, access my server. Okay. But if I say what it was, yeah, control plus A plus D. Now it says DHS from the terminal. Then I can just simply close the terminal. Now I have closed the terminal, but still I can access my website. Now website is up and yeah, sorry about that. So now my website is up and running, right? But there are some things like it is saying not secure. It is saying not secure because I have not installed SSL certificate. So let's see what those things are. So I will close the website, but I will not close this instance. What I will do is I will go here. I will paste this inside the Trello board so that you can visit it later. Okay. So for now, let's see what is SSL. So SSL certificate and something called as domain name. So let's see certificate. So an SSL certificate is a digital certificate that authenticates a website's identity and enable encrypted connections. So when you have SSL only or SSL only, then you will be able to make HTTPS request. Without that, you have to make HTTP request. So on our website, we are actually making HTTP request. That means if I, let us say, copy the website, okay, go here, press enter, it will give me an error. Okay, even though it is running here, it will give me an error here. It will say unable to connect. Let's say I am going on port 8000. Okay, now it will run and it will say that it is not secure. Okay, so remember that you have to run on port 8000 because we are using something called as web server. Okay, this is possible using web server and it is inbuilt inside Django. Django can serve website also. Okay, that is why we don't have to install something called as Apache server or Nginx server. You will see in PHP we have to install something called as Apache server, right? So if I go here, XAMPP. Yeah. So in XAMPP, you see that our PHP website is only and only working because we have something called as Apache. If we don't install the Apache, you saw that one time I installed MySQL, but when I say admin, it was not working because I was not serving that website. That is Apache. Okay. So you need something called as Apache. And even in this Django, what you can do is, what you need to do is you need to install Apache and then only you can give a domain name. Right. In Apache, you can register a domain name that you want, you can register the IP. Okay, but we will not be doing that. We will just be going with the default name that we get, like this IP northeast one and then compute.amazonaws.com. So that is our website at running at port 8000. When you have Apache, you don't need to add, you can configure so that you don't have to write 8000 port. You can just directly go on amazonaws.com, then the name of this domain and go to your website. Okay, so that is possible using Apache, but we will not be dealing with because we are not going to use our money to buy a domain name or something. But if you want, you can buy an SSL certificate as well as you can buy a domain name and register it using Apache. Okay, so now we are done with our food orders website. We have registered it. We have registered it on a website. It is running. You can create new user, make order. It is visible in the to the admin on the order panel. Okay, and we have also connected a database and it is completely running. So now what I want is I want to focus on a little bit of PHP also, right? So in PHP, what we will be doing is we will be again doing the same thing. We will be buying getting a free domain name as well as we will be getting some storage and compute from a server that is already in the cloud so that we can store our PHP file there and run it. Okay. So let's close the AWS for now. Okay. I will also close this. I will also close this. Remember, only changes I have done is allowed host equal to I have added star. But in like what you need to do is you need to say you need to say 127.0.0.1 and then you need to do comma and then you can say that 0.0.0. But I'm just giving star because I want for like this training purposes. I will close it. Now we'll start with PHP. So this is all. Remember, we need to install Putty. There is something else that we need to install and we need to create an account. I will open my Edge. I will say download Postman. Click on download. This is a software which will let us test the API that we'll be creating in PHP. In Django, everything was handled by Django server itself, right? But in PHP, we have to create our own PHP APIs, and then I will be showing how APIs work. You see that there are a lot of companies offering the API, right? They say that you can use my API, and then you can give some, let us say, at the end you can give some path and then you can get the data without going to browser. You are able to fetch some data using the API, so we'll be creating that API, okay, in the PHP. So you can have your own API that you can share it with anyone and they can fetch data from your database or whatever you want. They can fetch the data that you want them to fetch. Okay, so we'll be creating that API in the PHP itself, and we'll be learning how to deploy what is hosting, what is domain name. Okay, there is something called as domain name, and there is something called as subdomain name. So domain name is basically www.postman.com. Subdomain name will be, let us say, users.postman.com. Okay. So we'll be learning that there is something called a cPanel. So 000 web host that will be creating the account also lets you upload the Python and Django, but that is for the, I think, free tier. Okay, so that is for the paid tier, but for free only PHP is available. So you'll be working with PHP so that you can have two different projects, right? There is one with framework, that is a web framework in the Django, and another one is without any framework. You are just using PHP. And we will be also seeing how to create a remote MySQL database. So the Postman is downloaded. What I will do is I will click on open files. Okay, so now installation has started, but it is not prompting me something. After some times, it will appear on the screen. That is basically the background installation. To click on the arrow icon, or let us say if I just do this, it should be available. See on the tab here. See, it is appearing now. So don't panic when you click on open file. Sometimes it takes some time to appear on the screen. Okay, you can get the progress on the tab also. In Windows 10, you can see it on the screen, but on Windows 11, see you have this button here. You can see the tab here. Now it will open. So first thing we want to do is we want to create a account on the Postman itself. Okay. So it is asking for the create account, but I don't think it will ask me for account. Yeah, by default, it will not ask me, and I can use it as it is. But okay, let's just use it as it is without creating an account. When you want to create an account, you can just click on create account. It will open your web browser, and then you can use Google to log in. So next thing we want to do is we want to go here, and then I will say 000 host. Now, just like how we have, okay, so here's a thing. Let us say when you search for something and it doesn't appear, you can do something called as double quotes around here and then press enter. Then you will get the exact result. In Google and Bing, you can follow this same procedure, right? You can use double quotes, type something and close the double quotes and then search. It will search you for like same keyword as it is. So if I say like double zero web host, it will search for double zero web host. So I will say free web hosting. So this is something called as Cloudflare. You can install Cloudflare on your website and it will check for like, verify you are even, or let us say you are on a secure connection. So this is something also you can install. You will see on the C panel. I have saved 000 web host. Now I will be choosing a plan. Okay. So I will say get started. Now it will say free web hosting, single shared hosting, premium shared, and the business shared hosting, right? So basically free is like you will get one free website, 300 of only space. So only you can store up to 300 space of files and limited bandwidth. Like, so let us say every time a user visit your website, some internet is consumed, right? So you can only get 3 GB for per month. You will not get an email ID like a professional email ID. So just say I will not have an email ID called as yash@yashupadhyay.com. Okay, I will have to use Gmail. And they will also not give you support. And in premium, they will give you, but go for the free one. I will say free sign up. Because you will be needing free one and you will see a lot of functionality are there. For the premium feature, you will not be needing it. I will say login with Google. And then I will select my dummy account that I have created. Now it is giving me create a new website, correct? I will say create a new website. It is asking for the name. This name will be your domain name. So this name .000webhostapp.com will be your domain name. So I will say yes, Upadhyay. And I can say hyphen doc search, because doctor search will be name. Okay. And then I can also give a password. So let me give a proper password. Okay. And it is asking for this application is for WordPress. No, WordPress is something you can use GUI to like create a blog website or even a sophisticated website, but you will have to learn how to use WordPress. If you are serious about PHP, you should also consider using WordPress because there are a lot of jobs for WordPress developer also. So I will say create. I will remember the password. I will use the same password for my MySQL database that I will be creating. We'll say create. Take some time. So we'll wait for and then we'll come back. I will wait for 1 minute. Okay, so our website is created. Now what we'll be doing is, see you have this option, this 3 button, where you can have an option of visit the website, general setting, set availability. So let us say every time you have a domain name. Okay, you bought a domain name. So let us say if I say my domain name. So I can get a domain name. If I want to connect that domain name, I have to go to set web address and then connect that domain name. But what I will be doing is, I will click on manage or I will click on general setting. It will take me to something called a cPanel. So I will click on manage. If it is not working, just click on general setting. Selecting. Loading, so that is why after the loading is done. Now something called as FTP detail. Okay, so FTP is basically for the file transfer. What happens is that every time you have a FTP server, you want to, let us say you are coding and you have made some changes in your coding, you should use FTP to upload that code in your server. When you upload the code, your website will be updated. So we have FTP. I will not be using FTP. We will be using drag and drop to enter our whatever file we have. We have password to change the password. I can select the PHP version. We'll be going with the default because the default will work for us. And then you have something called as dashboard. So when I click on dashboard, now you have this panel. Okay. So this is monthly bandwidth, like how many users are visiting, how many data was transferred. There is disk uses, like if you have used the 300 MB, and then there is something called as inets. So inets is basically the number of file on your system. So you can only have 10,000 file and up to 3,000 MB. Okay. Next is your website. You can have a WordPress website or a PHP website. You can add like, the Google ads. You have SEO toolkits on search engine optimization. Let us say there is some error message. Sometimes there is error. You go to a website. There is a specific page that you get error 40404. Right. So you can set up using this, but this is a free premium function. We will not be having that. There is something called as file manager where I can upload my code file, PHP file. We have domain. Park domain is basically when you buy a domain, you can park that domain. So every time, let us say when a user visits my domain, you will be redirected to where like he visit my domain, yashupandya.com, he will be redirected to this domain. That is 000. We have email forwarder where you can work with the email. Sometimes you get a email from a company, right? So this is how you can set up your company email, and then you can send messages and things. There is something called as autoresponder. Whenever you receive an email, you can set auto responding. You have G Suite like Google Suite. Like Google Suite also provide you with the professional email. Instead of .gmail, you can have a company name email address. We have database. We will be creating MySQL database and we'll be managing it using PHP-MyAdmin. Then you have something called as DNS, cron job, and SSH. So if you want to get access to this particular server, so you have SSH section and you have Git and Cache manager. No need to worry about this. We are going to create a simple website. Then you have password and IP, and no need to worry about this. Someone from server management team will care about this. So what I will do is I will go to file manager. But before I go to file manager, what I want is I want to create a HTML page and a PHP website. And before that, I will be creating a MySQL database. So let's create a MySQL database. Remember, this interface might change, but the concept will be same. So this is my website, yashupadhyay.doc app. Okay. So if I go to my website, currently I don't have anything. So it is saying free website has been started. Okay. So this is my domain name. So I will say create a new database. I will give it a name. After search, give a username so that I can access it. Yes, and then I will give it a password. Okay, I have given it a password. Or let us say I can also do something like, let's give a simple password. Okay. Create. I will remember this name, username, and password because it is actually going to change when the database is created. I will show you. So it is created. Now you can see I have a database name ID, some number underscore Dr. Search. So this is the name of my database. This is the name of my user ID. Password I remember. Okay. So and this is the host, and I can manage it here using by clicking on PHP-MyAdmin. Right. So it is asking. It is asking for username. See, it should log in by itself, but it is not doing this. Let's see. There is some error. What I will do is I will refresh. Sometimes what happens is that your session gets expired, because remember we had a session expiry 0 in our right. So they to keep a person on with the session on the website, you have to set expiry. So it might be expired. It is still not working. So it might, if I go to my dashboard and then if I say the PHP admin here, let's go. Okay, then let's do this. Since they wanted 4 years share this. Okay. Let's see. Log out. So sometimes this also happens due to browser cache. Okay, so this might happen, but what we want is let's say I go to here, and if it is not working, don't worry. I will show you the website that I have created in like when I am working in the Hackmiller. So we have to create this website also. I will show you that. Let's create a message. Page environment, then we're still asking for this. So after logging in and logging out, I just had to give this user and then I had to give the password that I had, then it worked. So I have this database created that I had created doctor search, right? Now it is saying that if you want to create a table, create a table. So I will be creating a table. Inside the table, what I will be doing is, let's see, let me see what things that I need in my table. Yeah, so let me create a table with the name of, yeah, I will create a table with the name of doctors. Okay, doctors. And I need ID name, area, image, and also, yeah, type also. Yeah. So we say column 5 and I will say create. Okay, so here I will give a name of ID and then I will give the name of doctor name and then I will give the name of doctor area and then I can give the name of doctor image. Okay, and then I will give the name of doctor category. So this is basically specialization. Okay, so doctor category. Let me just check the spelling again. So we use okay. So now I will change the type. I will keep it text. I will let's say make it text for now. Okay. Last time we had varchar, right? So this time we will make it text. Name, area, image, and this. So, and next thing I want to do is I want to make sure that ID is auto incrementing. So I will say AI, then give it a name of yes. Okay. I have done this, right? So what I will do is I will say save. Okay. So this will create a table. I'm creating a MySQL table with the GUI. So now I have ID with a type int text text text, and then I have this collation by default. I have auto increment. Okay. I will say insert. Here I don't have to give ID because it will auto increment. I can give a name. Let's give my name, and then I can give a area. So let's say Mumbai, and then I can have an image. So for image, let me search. Let's give this image, and then in the category I can say general. This say general, okay, and then say go. So after this, I can click on browse. I have one record in my database, correct? And remember all the information here, here, and here. Now I will go to 360 host. Okay, I will log in again. Sign in. Session was expired. That is why I have to sign again. Then I will go to general settings. Then dashboard. And then I will go to file manager. So this is also one of the way to create a website that is up and running. So now remember, I have something called as public underscore HTML. Because this is in Linux, I have public underscore HTML. If this was Windows, this server is on Linux, that is why it is public HTML. If this was a Windows, I will have something called as htdocs, right? htdocs, okay. And I think if you install PHP, it will have public HTML. Because I have installed XAMPP, I have htdocs. So basically what I need to do is I need to copy paste this file that I have created in here. But let's get create see what this is, and we will also make changes. First thing you want to do is, so this is like I have already created it, right? This is an old code that I have written. So we will be like going over it, and then we'll understand what is going on. So basically I have this, right? So what I need to do is I need to first I need to delete this, close this. So if you want your website to work, right? Let us say if I go to my domain name here, right? If I want, let us say when the user visit my domain name, I want the user to see what I have created. What I have to do is I have to make something called as index.html inside public HTML. So I will click on public HTML, and here I have to create something called as index.html or either index.php. That is the default file name that PHP automatically recognizes, and then only it will show to the user. If you give any other name, then what you have to do is you have to click on your username, you have to click on slash, and then you have to give the name of your file. So what I'll be doing is I will be renaming this. So I have this dsb.html, I will rename it to index. And now I have something called as cannot validate since PHP. So if you want to run PHP on your VS Code, you have to say open setting. In the setting file, you will have something called as PHP validate executable. You have to click on edit setting. And here you have to give the link of your php.exe file. You can find it here. So go to C drive. Okay, go to C drive, go to XAMPP. Go to PHP. And then find PHP. php.exe. Just say php.exe, say copy as path, or if you are on Windows 10, say Ctrl+Shift+C, copy as path, and then paste it. Now it will give you some error because it has a double quote. So what you need to do is you need to, instead of forward slash, you need backward slash. So I will delete it and say backward slash, backward. On Linux it is forward, on Windows it is backward. So I will save it, and now I will not get any error here. Okay, I have changed the setting. And if you want me to give you an extension to work with PHP, I will recommend you PHP IntelliFence. This PHP IntelliFence, you can install it if you want. This is the really good. It will format your code as well as it will give you autocomplete. I will not be installing it because I don't regularly work on it. And if I'm working on it, definitely I have it set up on here. That is my VS Code inside app. Okay. So first thing you want to do is first we have the index.html. Okay. Now let us understand the code I have written. So basically first, just close it. Okay. So first is doc type HTML, saying that this is an HTML file. Then I have HTML tag with the language of English, and then I have the head tag, right? So this is the head tag. In the head tag, I have multiple things. First, I am importing the bootstrap min.css, right? And then I'm also importing the CDN for the jQuery. Okay, so let's go find it. So I will say jQuery CDN. If I go to first website, I will say uncompressed. There are many versions. First is uncompressed, minified, slim, and slim minified. Difference is that uncompressed is basically, it is not compressed, it has all the functionality. In minified, they are like, not having some functionality, but it has all the major functionality. In slim, they are reducing, compressing it, and they are reducing the file size. In slim minified, less functionality. We want to use Ajax. Ajax is available in I think minified and uncompressed also. But for safe side, just use the uncompressed. It will have some like what I can say. The file size is bigger, but it has all the latest feature and all the features. We want to use Ajax, so we will be using it. We will be learning what is Ajax later on. Okay, after I have like told you how to do this. So first is like importing the CDN for jQuery, then importing the CDN for my Bootstrap. Then I am importing a favicon, which is in the image folder with the name of favicon.png. I have the title, Dr. Search website. Okay, and then viewport and UTF is by default available. Then I have the body tag, and inside this I have this nav tag. Okay, this nav tag is this one. If I go to like get Bootstrap, remember these things, I'm just going over again. So get Bootstrap, docs, and here I will search for nav. When I search for nav, I will be using this nav over here. Yeah, this one. Because I have main logo, I have some text, and then I have it on the right side also. Okay, so I'm using this one. And what it did was, so basically I have already created it and I have posted like, this is my older website that I have. So this is the doc, and then this is the login button. So if I say #12, it is giving me the name of this logo, and it is giving me an option. Okay. Remember, this is not the website that we are going to make. This is my personal, which is the Yash Chandra and #000. Okay. I have opened it just to show you. This is like how we'll be creating it. This is how it will look. I have this option where it changes. I have this button. If I click on submit, then it will say Dr. Found, and then it will give a card with image and this. So this is what we are going to create. So I will be using this navbar. So I have created the navbar. I have changed the logo to doc search, and then I have changed the home to like change the URL to home, departments, and then about, and then I have a button at the right hand side with the login. Okay. We are only going to create the front page. We are not going to like create the entire page for home, department, and about. Okay. You will will need to create an API. So this is what we are going to do. So after this, I have a container fluid, okay, so that it is taking entire space where container fluid is basically this part. This entire part, this one is inside the container fluid. This image and this basically has an entire container fluid. It is taking entire width. If I had container, there will be some margin left and margin right. Okay, so I have a container width, and then I'm saying that I want a margin top of 2, so there is some space, and then I am having a cursor. Okay, so this call MD6, I have another call MD6. Okay, so this is half is basically call MD6, and this half is basically called MD other 6. So 6 plus 6 is 12, so they are on the same view. But if I go to mobile view, it will be first appear, and then there will be some space, and then this form will appear, and then the output will appear. Okay. So we are using column D6. We have created 2 division. So first will be have the corrosion. I have given the image link, and I have the 3 images, right? And those 3 images are visible. Okay, these 3 images. And then what I have is basically this. Here I have a form, okay, HTML form. I have a label for area, and remember I have ID of area. Then for another text like ID of area, and then I have text type. So basically, what is area, like in which area you are searching for doctor, and then what is the like specialty of a doctor that you are searching. You are searching for a neurologist, a surgeon, or let us say a general physician, or let us say a pediatric something like that. Okay. So and then I have a submit button. Instead of button, I have a div. Okay, because in jQuery, sometimes what happens is that it mark it as double click. Okay, so I'm just using div, and then I'm using Bootstrap, not BTN, to make it look like button. Okay. Then I have an empty div. Okay, so this div with row column div 12, so that is taking entire 12 column. Here this doctor is taking entire 12 columns. So if I have more card, it will be next to this, next to this, next to this. And if I go to like mobile view, it will be on the next time. We have seen this on the day 2 when we were learning advanced CSS. So what I want is I want my ID to be visible inside this div which has ID of result. I want my result to be visible in this div which has ID of result. To make a request, I will be using jQuery and REST API. Okay. So basically, instead of document when what I had in jQuery, I have something called as $sign. $sign bracket document dot ready. So when the document has loaded, that is called document dot ready. When the document is already loaded, then only what you do is you check if the button with the tag of submit is clicked, right? Click dot function. So this button that I have, if it is clicked, then what I want is I want to save the input with type with the ID type and ID area value inside this variable doctor type and doctor area here. So I have this ID, input ID with like input with the ID area and input with ID type. So whatever I have written it, that value will be saved in this variables. Then what I want is I want to make a post request to this URL, that is myapi.php, and I want to give two things to this API, that is search and area. Okay. Now there are some changes that I need to do. Because I have it as type, I will say type. Okay, so type, doctor type, area, and then doctor area. Then I have function response. And then I want to, whatever response I'm getting, that HTML response, I want to save in the div with the tag result. Okay. Now, this is all I have in my HTML. So what will happen is that when I click on submit, it will take the whatever input is in the type and area. It will make a post request to my api.php file, and then it will send a type and area information. And when it gets the response, it will show that response in the hashtag result, like a div with ID result. Okay, so now let's look at my api.php, like PHP API that we are going to do. So in my api.php, first thing is that instead of model, I have to use MySQL function and give information of my database, and then only I can connect to a model and connect to my database, an actual database. Instead of having a model, I am connecting to my actual database. That means every changes I made, it will be visible in the database itself. Okay, and I cannot revert it. Remember, with the model, I can revert it. So this is one of the differences between having a web framework and not having a web framework. So first thing I will do is I will have the post request. So I am getting the type, right? So this type is there here, right? So this type, I will type it here, and then this area with the same spelling, I will type it here, right? So search area equal to post area, and then I will check if they are set. So when I'm checking if they are set or not, I cannot initialize them before. So I will say here, and I will say that if type and area is set, that means if I have received the type and area, these two parameter from my request, only and only then I want this API to work. That is what is set function does. It checks if they are set or not. Basically, it checks if, like, they are coming along with the API or not. Then I will create a variable. Now in PHP, you create a variable using $sign. Okay, you cannot like just say that my variable and then give some value. You have to say $sign my variable, and then you can give it some value, and then press this semicolon to end that string. Okay, so remember this, in PHP you use $sign to create a variable. So I'm creating a variable search param, and then I'm using the saying that with the post method that I'm getting, that is type and area. What I want is I want to give the database detail, and then I want to make connection to this database detail, and then I want to execute a query. Whatever result I am doing, I want to do something with that result, and then I want to echo the overall result. I want to print the overall result to the website. So basically, let's break it down. So first is the data host. So how I will get this information is basically not here. So this is the database that I have created, correct? So it says host is equal to localhost. So I will say control, I will copy it, and here I will paste it. Okay, and then I will say the username. So my username is this. So what I will do is I will change the username. Okay, my username is changed. And then it is asking for the database. So what I will do is I will give the database password that I have. A, B, C, D, @1, 2, 3, 4. So this was the password that I had selected. Okay. Now this is where things get tricky, because you are adding the password and username of the database. Someone who has access to this file can see the password of your database, right? Same with the Python also. If someone has access to your settings.py, they can also see the data, password. But in PHP, what is recommended is that you create a file called as conn.php, conn.php, or any name.php. Import that file, like just how we used module in Python. Import that file and then connect to database. But we have it, so we'll do it this way. We will only create one file just to not make it I can say complicated. So I have added a password. Now I will give the name of database. So name of database is this. Okay, I have given the name of database. Now I will say conn, a name of variable, can be anything, equal to new MySQLi. That means I want to make a new MySQL connection with this host, username, password, and database name, which is here. I have already defined this variable. Then I will say this, I want to make a query. So again, $SQL can be anything, can be any variable name. What query I want to run. Here I am running an actual SQL query. Instead of in models, what I had was I had classes or something, right? Instead of that, I am running actual SQL query on the backend. So that is select. I want to select ID, name of doctor, name of area, and the image of doctor. And then what I want is from which table? Doctor's table, where this is a condition where doctor area is same as the the area term that I have received from my post request. And I also want to check if the doctor category, like type, is that I'm receiving from the post request is also they are both conditions are satisfying. Then if I am receiving some kind of result from this query, what I want is I want to run a if and say check if I have received any kind of request. So num rows is basically the number of rows that you have received from the MySQL, because we are running an actual MySQL code, like an SQL query. Instead of receiving an output, I will receive the rows. Remember, I had records and columns, so I will be receiving records. So they are called num rows. Okay. Then I will say that if they are more than 0, then I want to initialize a data variable. Okay. And then I will say that I will again initialize another variable with doctor data, where I will run a while code. So while this is true that there are some rows, what I want is I want to say fetch associate, because they are getting us rows. I am getting that data as an associative array. The type will be associative arrow. I know this because I have worked with this and I have previously did this. But for you, you probably had to use something called as type of function to search the type. But I know that they are associative arrow I will get. So I will say that fetch Ashok, and then I will whatever ID I'm getting from the row, I will store it in the doctor ID variable. Same for name, area, and image. And then what I will do is I will say doctor data, the data that I want to give to my front end. I will say doctor data dot, like that means doctor data plus I'm updating the doctor data. Okay, this is same as doctor data plus equal to, and then the value you are giving, right? So doctor data equal to doctor data plus whatever information you want to update. Okay, this is same as that. But instead of plus, we have dot in PHP, right? So that is why we are saying doctor data equal to doctor data dot. Okay, then what I can do is I can have this div. Remember, this is a div. I am actually sending an HTML element. That is why in HTML I have .html response instead of inner HTML, because I don't have this element already existing on my code. Okay, I'm creating this I'm giving an actual HTML to the front end. Then I'm creating a card. Okay, so class is card, it has some width, and then I'm saying that image source is same as the source, the image source that I have received from the database record. Same with name and info, and then I'm creating this card. That means I will have a h1 tag, right? Element with h1. So basically div class h1, which will say doctor found in your area, and then there will be card. It will run for each record. That means I will have, if there are n number of record, I will have n number of card. Okay. Second thing will be so it will say that else let us say no recorder found, then it will say no doctor found in your area, and I will not get any card information. Else, let us say if this code is not running, there is some server error. What I want to do is I want to print bad query, that the request that you have made is bad. I will also not get any card. Then in the end, what I'm saying, that's data equal to data dot doctor data. That means this data, the h1 tag that I'm printing and the card data, I'm like merging them together, and then I'm sending it like echo. Echo is basically giving it to the front end back. Okay, so I will save it. After saving this file, I think you remember the changes I have made. This was outside, I have it inside. I have changed the username, password, and the database name. And here I have changed the type area, and also I have type and area. Okay, I have this image. So next thing I will do is I will go to my file manager. I will just refresh again so that if my session is destroyed, I can reconnect it. In here, I will just upload this file. How I will upload this file? So I have this, right? So this same, right? Yeah, doctor search. I will save this, and then I will just upload it. I will click on upload. Okay. So now I should be able to visit my website, and it should get me to the index page. I'm coming to my index page. Okay, let me check if this functionality is working. I'm getting doctor found in India. Now, why did I get, if I don't have anything written, still I got the information? Because in the JavaScript, okay, see, in index.html, I'm not using any kind of validation to check if there is some information inside this input. So your assignment will be to use JavaScript and make sure that user is typing something before he can click on the button. When the user clicks on the button, print something called as you have not entered anything, and he must have at least one information here. Let us say if I say Mumbai. Okay, now if I click on submit, I got the error. But if I, let's say, press see, this is my website, -doctor search 000 Avos tab, and I can say Mumbai. Okay, and then I will say submit. Right, it will say doctor found. It's because the area is Mumbai, I'm getting it right. And if I let us say refresh again, and specialty I will say general. And so submit. I got the information. So this is the PHP website. You saw I only had 2 files But I was able to do something like this, where I was able to make request to the backend, do something, they get the data from database, show it on the front end. Really quick, really fast, but not really secure. Okay. You want to do a lot of things that Django will provide you, let us say models or login, logout, registration. You have to do these things on your own. Okay. Routing on your own. So keep these things in mind, but it is really actually really simple. If I give you some example. Okay. So if I go here, if I go to website that I have created, now there is something called a stream. Yeah. So you see, I have user login and I have the admin login, right? This is a project that I have created for the company. This is just a development server that I'm using for the testing purposes. That is why I can show you. Okay, I don't really have the password for this and login ID for this one. Let me check. Okay. See, I'm getting some when I'm entering, like, something wrong. So you can do something like this. Yeah. So see, I have some information, right? So this entire project, okay, if I click on this, then you can see I'm getting chart of the user. If I use my mouse button, then you can see the chart is changing. And I have a lot of chart, like, this chart and this chart. So this entire website that I have, this was created in PHP. You see, I have user report, then PHP, right? So this is entire project is created in PHP. You can create something like this. Okay. If I go to my personal 000 host. So with this project that I have, see this one that we have created, hosted is on this URL. This is secure because 000 web host has taken care of the SSL. They have provided you with the domain name. Okay. That is why I was saying that you should try out this project also. I have explained you the code. You can try out the project. I will give you the code. Okay. You just need to change, create the database, watch this video again, learn how the database was created, and then you just simply need to create the database, make some changes. What I would recommend you is learn JavaScript. What you need to do is you need to add a validation so that empty variable are not there. And if you have hunger to learn, then you can make this login functionality usable. Just think about it, because see, programming is like a math problem, as I have said yesterday also. You should know the approach. As long as you know the approach, there are a lot of features that are available, such as ChatGPT, Google Bard, Bing, and also a lot more, such as GitHub Copilot. As long as you know the approach, as long as you can understand the code, you don't really have to learn how to write the code, because there are things that can do that for you now. But the most important thing is that if you don't know the code, you will not be able to verify that, as well as if you don't know the approach, like how to create something, then you will be basically you have a lot of power of chat GPT or something, but you will be not able to use it because you don't know how to do it. Best thing to learn, create project, learn how to create project, and also as as the unique projects that you will create, you will have a new what I can say, inspiration. You will always have a new you will find something, or what I can say, a new approach that a person is using. That is why go to GitHub, search for projects, see how they have made the project, try to clone it. Go on various websites such as Amazon, Flipkart, Google, clone their website if you are trying to become a front-end developer, so that you know what approach they have followed, how they have done something, and then in future you will be able to create your own approach. Okay. So if you want to become a developer, instead of going on YouTube and learning for a tutorial, learn how to create something, learn how to build your approach. That will be much more better. So simply this is it. And next thing I wanted to do was, if I just copy the this URL, okay, and then if I say that if I go to the Postman, I will say post because I'm using post method, right? So I will say post, I will enter the URL, and now I will give the name of my PHP file, okay, or name of my endpoint. If it was Django, I will be giving the name of my endpoint, such as order. But in PHP, I have to give the file name also. So that was my API.php. And then question mark. Then in body part, right, we will keep the header by default, the headers, like, there are hidden headers like user header and everything. In Fetch API, we had to tell the header, but in Postman will take care of it, right? So I will say form data. In the body form data, I will say type, and then I will say area. In the value, I will say general, and then if I click on send, it is giving me like bad query. Let's see. Yeah. Now, why did I got bad query? Instead of area, it is saying ARE. That means area, specific keyword that it is looking for, it didn't get it. So I will say area, and then I will say search. Now you can see I have some information, doctor found in your area. Yes, and then the link. And if I say raw, then you can see I'm getting an HTML response because I asked for the HTML response. In the preview, you can say doctor found in your area, the image, the name, and then the area. So this is how you create an API. This is how you consume an API. I'm not using any web browser. I'm using Postman. I'm giving the API endpoint. I'm giving the body in form data. I'm giving some parameters, and then I'm getting a result. So this is also how you can create it. So I think we can close it now, and also this one, and this also. Leave. So this was the website that I have created. I think code was understandable to everyone, as well as the food order website that we had, that is also understandable to everyone. What I will be giving you is, tomorrow I will give you a Google Drive link with all the videos, all the 10-day videos. And then I will also be giving you code of food order application and the code of this PHP application. I will be making a documentation on how to create the login account, how to create database, and how to create this project. Then I will also be creating a documentation on how to deploy the food order Django application on the Ubuntu server. And I will also be creating a documentation on how to install the how to create the project of food order Django application. I will be giving you tomorrow, and on the Saturday or Sunday, by Saturday, Sunday, I will giving you written notes of HTML, CSS, JavaScript, jQuery, PHP, Python, Django, MySQL, as well as AWS and Git and GitHub. Okay. So by Sunday, I will give you everything, but training today has officially ended. If you want to create this website, you don't have to wait for the documentation. You can just watch from video number 7, 8, 9, and today 10. If you watch the 4 videos, you will be able to create both of this project. You will be able to deploy it. If you want to learn the basic, learn it from video number 1. Okay. If you don't want to create Django application like how I have created, you want to go for the default method where you are creating the template and static in the same application. What you can do is you can start from the day 5. Day 5 and 6, where we have discussed the default Django configuration. On day 7, we changed the setting and then created the project in a new way. Like we modified how we wanted the project to be, and then we deployed it. So if you want to just go for the deployment, just go for the project, start from video number 7, 8, 9, and 10. This 4 video, what the 4 video, 2 hours each, probably take you 8 hours. Then you will be able to do everything. Okay. So yeah, okay. So I think we can conclude the session here. It is already 4 p.m. Okay. remember the things that I will be giving you. I will be giving you documentation, but if for some reason documentation couldn't be delivered on this right time, because sir has not asked me for the documentation, this is something that I am doing from my side. So it might take some time because I have to write the documentation, I have to check it, right? So what you can do is you can follow the video 7, 8, 9, 10 and start working on the project. If you get any error, you guys can reach out to me. Okay. So thank you for joining. We will be concluding the session here. We will be concluding the training session here. Okay. So I hope that all of you can learn something. All of you can create the project and get your completion letter from sir. Okay. Sir will be happy to give you the completion letter. And all of you, don't worry, your names are being recorded. You will get good score. Okay. If you like create the project with watching the video and doing it how it is. Okay. You at the end you will be creating two different projects, right? And a Django and a PHP. Okay. So all the best for the project. All the best in getting your completion letter for this training, as well as getting your completion letter for your internship. Okay. So thank you for joining. We'll end the session here. I will upload the videos and give you the link by tomorrow.